Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Atlanta Campaign, The Death of Dixie. This is a game designed by Don Lowry and published by War Diary Magazine through Lock and Load Publishing. Remember, War Diary Magazine gives you a free game with their subscriptions. We've talked about that on the channel before when we look at all the different new issues of War Diary Magazine. When you get your subscription for War Diary Magazine, you can choose one of the Battles on Demand games. That's through Lock and Load, and this is the latest. There is no box. It comes in a Ziploc bag. So we'll take a look at the back of the rulebook to see what this game's all about. In the summer of 1864, Union forces under General William Sherman launched a campaign into northern Georgia designed to destroy the Confederate Army of the Tennessee. Although the Union failed to destroy the Confederate forces, it did capture the city of Atlanta, precipitating Sherman's famous March to the Sea. This new edition of Don Lowry's classic design allows players to refight the campaign in its entirety or in one of four shorter scenarios. The game features unique leadership rules and optional innovative combat order cards that introduce greater uncertainty to the battlefield. And you have an example of the map, the player aids, and the counters here. It is rated as complexity 5 out of 10, and the solitaire suitability is also 5 out of 10. It's for ages 10 and up, 1 to 2 players, and 1 to 2 hours playing time. So pretty straightforward, simple game that you can easily get into. So let's set up the map and we'll take a closer look at all the components. And here's a look at the map that comes with the game. It's actually 3 separate map sections that you're going to lay one on top of the other to create the overall map. Very easy terrain features to read. You have large mountains, small mountains, you've got railroads, rivers, and then mountain passes. Everything is very easy to read, so it's not going to be difficult at all to follow along. Then you have your turn track along the top, and then you have your weather track as well. So really nice looking map, and you can lay it out sideways like this as I'm doing to follow along the turn track, or you can lay it out lengthwise, whichever your table space will allow, as well as what you prefer. Now we'll take a look at the player aids that come with the game. The first is the terrain effects chart, which lists out the different types of terrain on the map, their effect on movement, and their effect on combat. And then on the next card, we have the combat results table, as well as the combat orders matrix, which is only in use with the advanced rules. Then on the back, we have the leadership chart for both Confederate and Union forces in both the attack as well as the defense. Next, we'll take a look at the counter sheet that comes with the game. These are nice, thick, pre-rounded counters. These are beautifully done. Confederate forces on the top, Union forces on the bottom, and the admin counters in the middle. And these counters, as you can see, I just touched it and they just pop right out. So great job on these counters by Lock and Load. We'll take a look at the rules. This is a 34-page full-color rulebook. On the inside of the front cover, we have the table of contents, which breaks down all the rules by their page number, as well as the scenarios that are in the game. Then a breakdown of all the different units that are in the game, as well as the leader and headquarter unit, how to read those. Map board unit counters and the scenarios are explained to you here in text. And then we have the sequence of play starting on page 4. Movement, stacking of units, zones of control are explained to you, along with a couple of illustrated examples. Then we get into combat on page 6, which also has illustrated examples, several more here on the next couple pages, how to use multiple units in combat, and then combat resolution, and then forts and fortifications, railroads and supplies, bridges, and then we get to advanced rules, combat orders on page 12. So the rules start on page 4 to go to about half of page 12, so about 8 pages of rules. Not a lot to really take in and understand. Easy to get the game to the table, and as you can see, the text is fairly large. So 8 pages probably translates to about maybe 4 or 5 actual pages of the rules. So a pretty straightforward game to get on the table. Then we have some optional advanced rules that you can use as well, all listed out for you for the attack orders, and then the examples of coordinated and uncoordinated attacks here, and the advanced rules with army leaders continues, reinforcements and turn marker movement, weather, forced march, major battles, and then we get to forts and fortifications and the city of Atlanta, as well as the victory conditions on page 20. Then we get to scenario 1, Rocky Face Ridge, which was from 7 to 31 May. And then scenario 2 is Pumpkin Vine Creek. Scenario 3 is Kennesaw Mountain. And then scenario 4 is Peachtree Creek, which was the 18 July to 2nd of September. So you can play each individual scenario or the overall campaign. Then you have optional scenario variable situations, which will extend out the playability of each of the scenarios as well. Then you have the campaign game, so that way you can do all of these optional things and roll it all into the campaign and experience the overall game itself. Then we get to the credits, the scenario breakdown for each of the orders of battle for each side, for all the scenarios. I like that it's done nice and visual. Then we have a paper breakdown of all of the components in the game, including the maps. If you wanted to print it out yourself, even though you've got a printed copy, you can always print out another copy, a print and play copy. And then you have the order cards that you can use, that you can print out here and use in the game. And then we're at the back of the rulebook. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Atlanta Campaign, The Death of Dixie. This is a game designed by Don Lowry and published by War Diary Magazine through Lock and Load Publishing. If you are familiar with any of Lock and Load's Battles on Demand series of games, you're going to feel right at home here. It's got that small footprint, low to moderate complexity games, pretty straightforward and simple, easy to get on the table very quickly. The counters are fantastic. Lock and Load's done a great job on these. They had the laser cut initially, but then went to the die cut. David Heath decided, no more laser cut. We're going to go right to the die cut, and just a fantastic decision. These counters are top notch. And again, Roy does a great job at War Diary Magazine, and I love the fact that they're looking at getting more games to go under the umbrella of War Diary Magazine. So that way they can offer games not just through the Battles on Demand games that Lock and Load's doing, but also under the War Diary umbrella. So good for Roy, and I really like to see the magazine kind of expand out more by having that branded look for some of these games, and Lock and Load for having more games in their Battles on Demand line. Again, if you've not checked out War Diary Magazine, I strongly recommend you do. If you're not familiar with the Battles on Demand series of games, check those out as well, because there's a lot of different games that you get from Lock and Load Publishing in that series. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. You have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.